to tell you a little bit about the beans. A coffee bean essentially is a fruit. It comes from a coffee cherry, a bit like a reverse cherry actually, because the real cherry, you eat the flesh, you spit out the seed, and the coffee cherries are in reverse, which means you want to not have the flesh, but you want to keep the seed. And that's essentially the coffee bean you will roast. Within this seed, there are lots of good things. There are minerals, there are sugars, there are oils. And once you roast your bean, all this goodness comes out. There's a full-on process which the cherry needs to go through to actually get to the bean. There are different processes. The oldest one is probably a dry process, which you pick the cherry to leave it out to dry, let it ferment a little bit, and after a while the flesh and the skin just withers away. And I mean, there are machines you use to put them through. You need to pulp the seed or the flesh away, and again, so different processes need to you need to put the bean under to actually get to the bean. Then you want to cook them, which means roasting. They will expand about 50%, but they will lose lots of moisture because they're exposed to lots of heat, even heat. And so they will expand in size, but they will lose lots of weight, about 30% of their actual weight. And yeah, that's when you get all the goodness within the bean, sort of to the outside. There are medium roast and dark roast and light roast for that matter. It doesn't mean that one is worse than the other. It just means that they're different styles. So you sort of roast the bean away till you have the sweet spot. That's the term roasters usually use. Once you have that spot, you want to stop roasting. Or actually before that, because it still keeps cooking after a certain while after you take the beans off the heat. If you have a blend, which means different just single origins are put together and they sort of work like a team. You can make coffee the whole range. You don't only need to drink espressos or long blacks. You can actually drink lattes, cappuccinos, macchiatos, large coffees, small coffees. A blend will always be good for that sort of thing. You might like to try just single origins, which means you only buy beans from Brazil or from Kenya. And that's when you get different flavor profiles. You probably want to look for nice dry beans, even in color, and they should never be oily or wet for that matter. You probably want to have a good smell at them, and if they smell pleasant to you, it's a good bean. If you have a local roaster, they also will be able to give you beans with a roasting date on it, and they can tell you exactly when they've been roasted. You probably want beans which have been roasted a couple of days ago, just because the inside of a bean, all the sugars and the oils and the minerals and lots of other things which are in a bean, they, after the roasting process, are still, the molecules, they're still sort of shaky and they're not settled yet, and that process takes about 2 to 3, sometimes 4 days, again, depends on the bean, to settle down in order to produce a really nice crema once you put it through your coffee machine.